Alright guys, different style of video today. We're going to go through some game footage and just kind of break stuff down, see how players are doing, see what Elco and Colin Klein are trying to accomplish in games. And this is an experimental type of video because I don't do film review, I don't do film breakdowns for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm no X's and O's expert. We're going to watch this through the lens of a fan who knows a little bit about football, but really I'm just going to show you things that I find cool and maybe some things that you maybe didn't catch on the first watch through. And second of all, this is not something I'm sure that this channel can get away with, so we're going to go slowly. We're going to do this a couple times a year and see how YouTube kind of flags this kind of thing. This media all belongs to ESPN, ABC, Disney. I have no claim to this footage. This is for educational purposes only, and this should fall under fair use. So, experimental. We'll see if this continues or not, and quite frankly, I just had time this week, and I wanted to do it. So, without further ado, let's get into some of the plays. We're just going to kind of go through the game. I'll skip through stuff that I don't want to talk about, and we'll stop on things I do want to talk about. But you got to talk about this opening drive because I think A&M's defense really set the tone early in this game, just like they did versus Auburn. Damian Sanford, the backup linebacker, got this party started with a blitz. Let's watch it, and we're going to point something out that Elco does all the time, and that is very, very well-timed blitzing. And in this case, the O-line completely busted their assignment on the first blitzer. But the cool thing about what Elco does is he creeps the safeties up or the linebackers in really late in plays. And look at Marcus Radcliffe here. No inkling that he's blitzing until right before the snap. So you see Marcus get in there, and if Sanford got picked up, I have a feeling Marcus would be running free unless Bothwell somehow got to him. But you'll see this several times throughout the game where Elco is timing blitzes extremely, extremely well, and it doesn't give plays any time to be flexible or develop in the backfield. Really cool stuff to see. You'll see it from Sanford later in the game. You'll see it from Brooks later in the game. But well-timed blitzes are just an Elco staple. Another staple of Elco is forcing blockers to block no one. Here he walks up 5 to the line of scrimmage, and this is what they did versus Auburn for most of the game. Is this a dime look? Let's see the personnel out there. Yeah, we have Shaw out there playing kind of that deep third safety if this is a cover 3. He's in the deep portion of the field here. And what they've been doing is bringing Brooks into that box role on these passing downs. And they've been having the other nickels, dimes, and the free safety Marcus Radcliffe playing those deep thirds or deep quarters or whatever it might be based on the call. Because Brooks is just more comfortable close to the box. And what they've been typically doing is having 2 hands in dirt and 3 stand-up guys, and that was what they did versus Auburn. They did that versus Notre Dame on clear passing downs, and they do it here. And you're going to see there's 5 guys to the line of scrimmage. They're all being assigned to various offensive linemen, to the running back if that's an option, or to the quarterback. In this case, the numbers are equal for the O-line, so every O-lineman has an assignment. But out of this, they often twist and they often drop one back into coverage. So it causes a quick decision to be made by the offensive line, and usually that gives A&M an extra step. It gives A&M maybe a free runner at times. But you can see here Cassius Howell. That's not Howell. That's Dayon Hayes. And I think that's Rylan Kennedy are twisting on the right side. And you can see that the man coming off, peeling off to get to Dayon Hayes there allows Rylan Kennedy to win inside on this left tackle here. Mississippi State's O-line really struggled kind of covering what Elco was calling, because this was a group that was rotating a lot. It was a group that was missing their 2 starting tackles. And I think we know over the last 5 years or so how much chemistry is beneficial to an offensive line. And, you know, this is a group that hasn't had a lot of reps together. And A&M clearly took advantage of that. You know, you can see here that I think that's Torian dropping back, and you can see the center has Torian. Center's eyeing Torian here, but Torian doesn't come. Center adjusts right, but all the action's on the left side, and the twist just wins. Something that Colin Klein brought from Kansas State was using pulling linemen as deception, because a lot of times the front 7 will read pulling offensive linemen to kind of determine their track on a given play. And here you're going to see as if they're going to run maybe a counter left or some sort of guard, tight end pulling play left, a power play left. But really this ends up being sort of a deception play where it's actually a fake handoff than a handoff to the receiver in motion. In this case, it's Concepcion. But watch Borkashire on this play. It's kind of a creative play. He feigns like he's going to pull, and then he kind of just pivots and goes as a lead blocker for KC in motion. Fun play. You can see all of the linebackers kind of eyeing that read of the handoff and, Reed Adams pulling to that left side of the line of scrimmage. And it opens up a lot of daylight on the right side because you have that pull. Look at all the linebackers and safeties flowing left. But this play goes right, and you can see Nate Borkesher pivot around. KC is just too fast for Bork to get a block here because KC is just breaking angles at will. But really creative stuff here. We finally saw the end-around game get going in this one, and I think that's the next dynamic of this offense. I think you're looking for creative ways to get these guys the ball in their hands, and you don't have to pass to do it. KC had a bunch of rushing yards his freshman year at NC State, lined up at Wildcat, got a lot of handoffs, doing it with Craver too. So this is the kind of look that Marcel's been struggling with a little bit. It's when the defense shows blitz on passing downs. And usually the offensive line does a pretty good job of picking these up. We've seen that be inconsistent through the first few games of the season, but it's getting better and better. I think the biggest problem on these plays is that there's not a quick check down option quite often on these. You can see these receivers are gone. There's no check down. Amari's blocking, but doesn't do a great job on this play, even though he's been doing well in the year. But Marcel doesn't have a quick hitter here because you're usually in max protect here. You can see all these receivers still have their back to the play. There's no tight end slipping out. Amari's in a pure block set. There's nothing here. There's nowhere here for Marcel to go. So he has to flush out. Can't get rid of it quickly. And that's the evolution of this third down kind of strategy that A&M has. You don't have a good check down game right now. That's the problem right now of A&M's offense outside of penalties. It's these third down, clear passing down, blitz looks that A&M's struggling against. I think we see a little bit of this adjusted in the second half, but A&M just really stays on schedule really well in the second half. There's another case of Dalton Brooks kind of being in that true box role. You see Tyreek Chappelle, Marcus Ratcliffe are going to get those higher zones. Dalton Brooks is on this guy that's swinging out, and he does a really good job in pursuit here, picking a good angle and impacting a blocker and getting through it. I think this was maybe Dalton Brooks' best game as an Aggie, man. He was tackling really well. I think he only had one missed tackle on the game. Just making good decisions. Had himself the fumble recovery. Good day for Dalton. This is stuff that wasn't happening versus UTSA. Just want to show you what good outside contain looks like here. This is Marcus Ratcliffe sticking to his gap assignment, not just going balls to the wall to the ball carrier, but closing off that outside bounce here with conviction. And this running back has no choice but to run into congestion here. Look at how look at how Marcus Ratcliffe closes in this one. Goes outside, doesn't get caught going inside too much, doesn't let himself get easily blocked. He's right there. There's a big guy there, but Dalton Brooks is on that outside shoulder and can cover the sideline there very well if this guy bounces it, and he can't. So he goes inside and gets bottled up. Another thing we didn't see early in the year, we made a lot of mistakes there versus UTSA and Notre Dame. This is a really interesting example. It's a little bit of best of both worlds from Albert Regis here. Regis has been an absolute stud in run defense. You're going to see what he does really well here, and that's getting the body off of him, impacting offensive guards and centers, and with this look, he can peel off left or right, whichever gap that running back goes through. And in this case, it's going to go off the inside, but he just misses the tackle here. But you see the good. This is really good. In this position, he can go either direction. I mean, look at that separation there. He's not letting that offensive lineman get in him. He's impacting him. He's driving him backwards. Just misses the tackle here. I don't think he sees him come in quickly enough. Mississippi State runs this really, really tight A-gap halfback dive. And I think maybe early in the game it kind of caught these guards just a little bit maybe flat-footed or by surprise. This dive is not super common. I think that's kind of maybe what caught him off guard here. Didn't expect the running back to be that far upfield already. And he just misses it. And, we get lucky with a turf monster here, I think. Or does Dalton get him? Oh, Dalton flicks the heel, huh? That's another good play by Dalton Brooks. That's a touchdown-saving play. You don't give a touchdown on this drive because of Dalton Brooks right there. There's an interesting play here where I think the D-line is slanting left here. All three guys with their hand in the dirt slant left. And I think Marco Jones was supposed to go in there and fill kind of that linebacker role on the left side. And I believe Torian was supposed to get the outside on the right side here with the slanters going left. And I believe this is a mistake A rare mistake in this game by Torian York. Torian is coming off of 2 really good games in his career, including this one. But I think there's a little mistake here. I think he was the one that was supposed to get that outside contain. I do not believe this is on TJ Cersei. I think he was meant to slant here. And you see this thing easily bounce outside for a first down. Good job by Marco Jones here, though, recovering. This is just DJ Hicks, the disruptor here. Look at him get that inside pressure, flush the quarterback out. Good coverage downfield. Marco Jones on the chase. They marked this as a gain of 1. I don't think that's a gain of 1. I think that should be a sack for Marco Jones. That's a sack. That is just behind the line of scrimmage right there, and he's clearly out of bounds already. But good stuff from DJ Hicks. He's good for one of these a game right now, at least. Just doing stuff that 5 stars should do. Individual impacts on the game. This is a weird play where Mississippi State probably has a good answer for our timed blitzes. But they run some sort of weird counter off of it where the end-around player goes back inside to take an inside handoff. And that goes right to where the blitz was coming. Because if this thing does keep going outside, it's a pitch or an option or something, he has a lot of room to run because the man who's guarding that guy, Tyreek Chappelle, is having to run across the entire field to stay with him. But instead, this play gets ran right into the blitz. Of course, another well-timed, crept-up blitz. This one by Damian Sanford. He gets a huge tackle for loss here. I don't know what that ball security was. I think with this look that A&M threw out there a couple times, they're trying to funnel that that halfback dive down the A gap to one specific side. Because with the way Regis and here's Landon Rink playing early in the game, some big reps for Landon Rink. But I think this is just meant to invite him to run to that gap. And look at Torian York ready for it right here. This is a place where A&M has been gashed before on 3rd and long running plays. But here they have a good plan because they figure if they're in the spread look and it's Mississippi State, this is the play they run. And you're obviously ready for an outside run going to that right side there with the bodies you have over there. That has pretty much no chance of breaking free. You're going to run this thing on that left side A gap. And it's so inviting for him to run right where Torian York is waiting. That's a good game plan right there, I think. Now, this is where Marcel has to be better because this is one of those passing plays where you do have check down options. There's no blitz, but there's great coverage, and you have 2 receivers kind of getting later in their route trees where there's a lot of congestion at the tail end of this. And I think this is the kind of play where Marcel needs to have that awareness when he's dropping back of, I have this check down, this is covered, they're backing off, hit the check down. You'll see it here on the left side open up while Marcel keeps his eyes downfield, chasing the deep ball. And I just think that this team in fall camp had a lot of success with the deep ball, felt that they would be explosive. You can see Theo there. No one within 10 yards of him there. I mean, Theo has all the grass in the world. 10 yards. Yeah, that's a hit Theo there. That's a be mindful of your check down situation for Marcel. You could even hit Lev here. Look at Lev. Lev has probably no more than 8 yards of him. Theo even more. So you're not in max protect unless they're showing that full blitz look. So far from what we've seen this year, be ready to hit those checkdowns. They're there. And you can see there's just so much traffic here. The receiver's bringing his man in. I wonder if that's a bust by our receivers there. Maybe one of them running the wrong route, ending up right in the same spot seems a little bit disadvantageous. This is a play we've seen a lot, and right here, it doesn't look like Marcel has the keep option here because they're actually blocking this end man on the line of scrimmage in front of Crownover. But there are other times this is ran where I believe Reed has the option to keep this and run an RPO, kind of a triple option play with Morrow as the pitch guy. But they end up just running it here. That comes back down the road. We've ran it a couple times this year. Look out for this play. I think that's the next thing that's going to happen here. I think he keeps it and he can throw it tomorrow or just run. We'll see it again this game. There's one of the rare plays where an A&M offensive lineman gets beat. You're going to see Crownover get beat by the end here. And I think here Reed tries to extend the play, but you got some players sitting in zones here. I think Bussy over the middle is an option here. Right here. If you can hit that, if you can get that ball out, that's a first down play. Reed just has to work on that feel under pressure. You can go look at the PFF numbers and Reed under pressure, or even Reed being blitzed without pressure getting through, his numbers drop pretty significantly. So I think this is the next evolution for Marcel Reed. is just hitting these short ones that are there. And again, I think we see it more in the second half of this game. You kind of just saw him maybe grow a little bit throughout this game. You saw maybe the game plan develop to help him out more later this game. But this is a play I think he has available to him to Bussy right there. We get a little blessing here with the late hit. I think Ruben Owens is born for zone running. This is like a little inside zone right play here. And this is just an easy play for Ruben to make. All of the O linemen are on their track going right, and Ruben just kind of scoots left and just beelines it for about a 7-yard gain. Flowing right, linebackers flowing right, and Ruben's just a one-cut guy that can just make that cut right there and go, and then he can make a guy miss. It's just, this is Ruben's bread and butter. Open field, zone running, make a cut, get some yardage. Boom. Here's a similar zone running play where Ruben doesn't cut back because he takes what's there. And that is basically a tunnel formed by the offensive line. Now, it's not blocked perfectly, but this is enough of a look to get a first down here and drive forward. Just look at the bodies in position, tunnel formed. Now, I think this guy gets off of Nate's block here and kind of contacts Ruben. But he's able to drive forward because he has all the push in the world right here. The flexibility of zone running. Ruben has enough bulk and strength to get that one. Here's a play where Marcel just takes what's there. It's Bussy on the crossing route. Easy pitch and catch. Turf Monster gets Bussy here. Who knows what would have happened here if Bussy stays up and his ability to make guys miss and KC blocking up there. Could have been a lot of fun. I'm just showing this play to prove that A&M can go under center, and I think they should probably do it a little bit more often with a guy like Le'Veon Moss in your back pocket. But do y'all want to see more of the Nate Borkesher handoff stuff? Not even that well blocked. Nate just moves guys right here and gets the first down. Colin Klein loves his H-back. Uses it a lot at Kansas State. We don't use it too much here, but I think Bork's that guy. This is a play that's gotten a lot of attention. People not happy with the decision to hand it off in the pistol. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'd rather be under center and just power run here. But if you're going to be creative, you got to do it this way, I think, with what makes A&M go. And that's a lot of motion. It's a lot of RPO off of motion. And I believe this is an RPO. I don't know. You just look at Borkesher wide open in the corner of the end zone up there. You see him up there. I mean, that's a touchdown. It's not Bork. It's going to be Theo. I know you got to make a decision with number 9 coming to your face right here if you're Marcel on this pull option. But you know, I just think that play is there. It's a super easy pass. There's no one around. You can see Bork's feet at the top of the screen there. It would have been pretty simple, I think, for Marcel to make. Just got to pull that. I believe that's built into this play with those 2 tight ends running a route and not blocking at the goal line. You know, that defensive end though that says to hand it off. The guy standing outside of Borkesher on the right, I mean, that's not a keep read. But well done by that linebacker holding his water to the last second to force Marcel to hand it off. Number 9 right there. If he crashes down hard, I wonder if Reed pulls this. Waits the last second to crash down. Another play where Reed just needs to hit the check down. He's going to force this ball. Look for Ruben. All the defenders are playing back here. Great depth on the zones. Would have liked to see Theo make a better play on the ball there. I think it was a poorly timed play overall. But yeah, you can see Ruben there. Another check down missed. This is just a play by Damian Sanford here. Just filling his gap, impacting the blocker, disregarding the blocker, and clogging a running lane. TJ Searcy, the chase guy, is able to easily get there since that gap is not open. It's just a stuffed run. Torn York getting in there, getting scrappy too. Here's another case on a 3rd down where you're completely opening up that A gap on the right side. And I'm sure this team is ready to fill that, whether it's York or Brooks right there, in case they do run that inside handoff. Seems like something they were doing the whole time intentionally this game on 3rd downs. But Howell just gets bent around and swats this ball down. Then you get the late hit by Hicks. He got pushed into him, but you put your hands in the quarterback's face. 9 out of 10 times they're calling it. But Cassius Howell said, I got one more in me. And he gets in there and does it again. And then, of course, it's Damian Sanford, one of the stars of the team right now. I think this is another RPO look where you have this Craver in motion, and he's going to scoot back, pivot back, and become the kind of pitch option on the RPO play if Reed keeps it. But just something to look out for, similar to that Morrow play. Because look, Craver's turning around looking for a pass here. And look at 1 in the secondary. Look at 9. I think the only one on Craver here is the nickel. And they're going to have to count for Reed too. This seems like a play that could do some stuff down the road. Something to keep an eye on. All right, here's another one of those Elco well-timed blitzes. Clap, and look at Brooks coming in. Not enough time to account for it. Not enough time to detect it or see it. Untouched. And with a head of steam. Brooks is running in full speed. No time to check out of it. Just a well-timed blitz. This has been one of Klein's staples to get Reed in kind of in a rhythm and get some easy passes under his belt. It's just snapping this off of the receiver motion and getting the quick out. They've run the out and up. They've run wheel off of this. They can do a lot of different things off of it. And it disallows, defensive backs from jamming our smaller receivers. It gives them a head of steam. You can catch the defense during their adjustments. You can, just get them backed off a little bit. And you run this quick out, and it's just an easy completion across the field, but easy enough for Reed to complete to Craver here and get a good gain. And these are the short plays where it's schemed up to where these guys are open and they can make lemonade. They can make more than just this happen. And this is what we saw a lot more of in the second half. Easy looks, stuff to get guys in space, not letting things develop too long and trying to attack downfield, just kind of backing things up a little bit and making it easy for Marcel Reed. And this is where we finally see Reed hit the check down. He's looking deep. He's looking deep at his man, and there's nothing there. And then last second, he feels pressure on the right side. I think he feels it. Or he just got lucky and threw it right on time. But he hits Ruben Owens out here on the out. And Ruben Owens is one of those guys where you get it in space, they can make things happen. So here we see Reed not forcing it, taking what's there, and that was good progress to see in this game. Here's the Morrow play that's clearly, I think, has a read available because you see this defensive end over Zune crash down here. And this is what makes me think that Reed doesn't yet have the green light to pull this, and that's coming later in the year. But the receivers and the running backs are still running the play as it's supposed to be ran. Reed just doesn't have that green light. You can see here that this is the pull read, I think. I think that, his hips are turned. He's going inside. This is rip the ball out and start running, Marcel. Even if this is a zone read, run this. And what this has is Morrow as that pitch man, pseudo triple option. I don't think Reed is the green light to do this yet because this is so clearly a pull. And Marcel Reed knows how to run the zone Marcel Reed. I just don't think it's there yet. I don't think we have that green light yet. And I just think this team is being real conservative with running Reed because I think this team knows we can't do with another quarterback injury. We can't deal with a banged-up quarterback. We can't do that. We're trying to play 16 games this year. And I think as the season goes on and as the stakes heighten, you do start doing it. Or just as the teams get tougher and tougher and you're on the road and you need more wrinkles and you're on tape more, you start pulling here. I don't think this is just a bad read by Marcel. I believe that this is not one where he's allowed to pull just yet. That's my gut. Could be wrong. Could have just been a bad read. But this is coming. They've ran this so many times without him pulling it. It's going to happen eventually. And I wonder what the wrinkle is. There could be something beyond what we're seeing here. This could be a bait and switch. This could be, okay, we're looking for this, but it's actually play action, something downfield. I don't know. Here's another play where you're in max protect and you kind of just heave a ball up downfield. I don't see an obvious check down available. Of course, the bottom of the screen is cut off, but I don't know what that receiver down there is doing. Nothing short seems available. And it's just kind of Marcel Reed has to heave this up or there's nothing going on this play. So I don't know what the adjustment is here. You want to max protect. That's what this team's been doing. I don't know at what point they slip the receiver, the tight end out or the running back out in the flat or something easy. Seems like they really want to attack downfield on these blitz looks. It wasn't happening this game. It wasn't really happening versus Auburn either. This is the point of the game where A&M's offense really starts to get it going, and it starts with a zone run for Ruben Owens. Running left, just puts a foot in the dirt, cuts right. Foot there, boom. Goes right, bounces off his own player, which kind of redirects him for the better. Big gain. And this game is still 7-3 with 5.5 to go in the third quarter. Amazing this game ends up 31-9 with just kind of how stagnant and up and down this offense has been so far. Best is yet to come. And you felt like this was a moment where Marcel Reed started to loosen up and feel a bit better. He's looking downfield, sees nothing. Craver actually gets redirected here. He's not supposed to go back, but he kind of gets his momentum stopped. Then he runs with the quarterback like they're taught to do. And Reed hits him in stride. You get a big gain. This is almost a touchdown to Craver because he's just lethal in the open field. But there's a good job of Reed just keeping his eyes up, ready to throw, on the run. You know Reed wants to run this, but he's, working on the passing skills, understanding the weapons he has at receiver, really want to distribute the ball, and he does it here. I think this was growth. I think this one and some of the play calls we had earlier were growth. Just want to see against those blitz looks what the next step is there instead of just heaving it downfield. Just a beautiful ball from Reed here, getting it over the linebackers, right into KC's hands. This got the party started. It was 3.5 to go in the quarter when A&M really started the scoring. I love how Onyedem and Regis both play this. They keep the bodies off them. Look at the extension away from the body. Look at Regis and Onyedem right here. Those bodies are not in a position to drive them back. They can attack either gap. So can Regis right here. And they're going to try to squirt through here, and they're just not going to have it. That's good D-tackle play. Not letting yourself get swallowed up. This is Onyedem again, just speeding up the timing of the quarterback. Beats his man. The ball has to come out early. Brennan Thompson's not even looking for the ball yet, and it's inaccurate. Maybe a miscommunication on the route, but I really think that this is just messed up by getting sped up. D-line dominated this game. Here we are again, 3rd and 11, inviting that run to that specific gap. You know A&M's ready for it. You know Brooks is ready for it right there. You're going to allow the underneath stuff on 3rd and long. And it wasn't a great tackle, but you did enough to slow him down. Shaw played a lot in the second half. Maybe it was a little bit of a Chappelle injury. Maybe they just liked the look they were getting from Shaw. That's what Elco said. A little bit of both. This play is blocked so well that Morrow gets completely stopped, and there is still a lane for him to run right. Great bounce, great acceleration. Everyone's kind of going to that initial angle, and Morrow makes a play. His time is coming up next, and I don't know how healthy Lev's going to be next week. He had to leave this game. He was in and out, left it permanently later in the game. Coach said he's all right, but who knows? Morrow's time might be coming sooner than later, and he looks ready. I'm excited to see him maybe get a bigger burn if he has to at some point in the year, if Lev has to take a game off or something. I think Lev will be all right, but you have this guy waiting. And Ruben Owens is playing really well too. Another one of those motions into a quick out. Just a rhythm play for Reed. This gains confidence. They're not there. Motion. He's open before the play even snaps. More of that. And this team will go out and up whenever they start crashing on that and they're keyed in on that. Reed will just have to hit the deep ball at that point. Another one that gets Reed in rhythm is the bubble, and it's just these are the guys you want to be running these kind of plays to. This is an interesting one. This is a Craver kind of out and up on the motion, similar to the kind of stuff we saw him score against Auburn, somewhat similar to the one we saw against Notre Dame, not quite the same play. That was off kind of an RPO or a play action. But this one he goes out, up, and come back. And that safety or whichever guy's on him is kind of playing that deep ball, which is what we've shown before. And it works really well. And Reed's been really good at his placement on these kinds of intermediate balls. That's the wrinkle. That's the next development. And that's why I think you're watching the framework here, like the Morrow play, like maybe that Craver kind of pivot RPO look that we had earlier in the game. These things build on themselves. We'll see the next steps as this thing goes on. I don't know if this is actually a zone read or a quarterback keeper all the way, but it's really well blocked by Borkashire, ABR, and even Bussy gets a touch here. Look at these blocks. Look at ABR fighting. Here's an interesting thing. I don't know. This is probably just me being a fan, but after Ruben gets the fake handoff, look at how he turns around after he kind of just like meanders past the line of scrimmage. See that? Is he looking for a pass there? That's not the next wrinkle, is it? I'm just imagining things, right? Marcel's definitely not passing that to Ruben Owens, is he? Right? That's not like a trick thing coming up later? I don't think so. I'm just imagining. I was looking at that earlier. I watched this play like 20 times earlier. I was like, is this something that could happen? Something that maybe we saw a little Diego Pavia do versus Bama this week? I don't know. This one they do run the RPO, and this is just that Marcel wiggle. We haven't seen him have to do this kind of stuff too often this year because you're just so okay with him passing with the weapons you have. But he still has this, and I just think they're being so conservative with Marcel. I mean, another reason, he's not really good at avoiding contact. It's just not something he has figured out yet. So I think that might be part of the equation here. But he has this. It's always there. It's always there. This one's clearly a read play, reading off that defensive end right there. Defensive end stays with the quarterback. You're going to hand it off all day. Another Borkashire block for a touchdown. Nate Borkashire's the dude. Look at Nate. All right, let's appreciate Lockhart. This is a great play by Jordan Lockhart. This is a fake reverse. Not going to hand it off here. Lockhart impacts the blocker and is able to run down the 4.3 speed Brennan Thompson. Now, I don't think Lockhart's running anything close to a 4.3, but this pursuit here to get off that block right there and still get this guy, it's huge. And at this portion of the game, they sit York the rest of this game. They want to get that Lockhart look. Lockhart and Sanford next to each other, and they played really freaking well. They played really freaking well. I mean, that reverse, they should have just handed it off, but yeah, I love that, man. We're in good hands in this linebacker room. We still have Jernigan and Mikael waiting. We'll lose outside and contain on this one. I don't know if this is Hayes getting too far or if this is Lockhart coming too far inside, getting washed away, but this cutback is very much there, and it punishes A&M here. Kind of stuff that got us earlier in the year. Didn't see it too much this game, but there's one. Couldn't tackle there either. Sanford somehow gets back in this one. What a beast. Now, this is the drive in the game where A&M really starts leaning on them. You don't get to punch in a touchdown here, but I think that's just because Ruben ran out of gas on this one. But, I mean, you're going to get so much push on this drive here. And it's not perfect, but you're still just impacting guys and affecting guys and moving bodies around. Even Bussy's out here blocking. We've seen that all year from Bussy. Little Owens redirect there. Saw a lot of Micah Riley at this part of the game, too. They were able to sneakily get some younger guys in, kind of interlace with the starters. And look at just hats moving hats here. Guys moving the line of scrimmage extended out forward. Again, you just see the pile moving, and this one is the one that Ruben squirts out of. And this is the one I say, if Ruben has a little bit more gas in the tank, maybe he tries to make a cut. Maybe he tries to throw this guy off, and maybe something happens here because he had enough room there and two blockers by him if they can see it. But that's a day for Ruben right there. And what a day it was, man. This is a great pursuit and great tackle from Jordan Lockhart on a very skilled running back, a very good player. And unfortunately, Fluff gets hurt on this one. We won't watch too long, but just a great play and a way to get a really good playmaker down. Once again, A&M in that typical passing down look where they have two men hand in the dirt, three guys stood up. This one they have a fourth guy there, actually a sixth guy there that could blitz, and Lockhart standing right there. And the O-line has to make a call here. This one they just play with a twist, and it's Cassius Howell, of course. The quickness, gets inside, gets the sack. How about Landon Rink here occupying a couple blockers, giving Cassius Howell the split second needed to beat 75 inside. And you can see after this play, Cassius Howell points at Landon Rink, knowing you gave me enough there. You gave me the block there. Where's the point? There's the point. Point at him. He did it. Landon Rink got some meaningful reps this game, early in the game and now late in the game. Landon, I think he's next up. Can't wait to see this D-line of the future, but I'm certainly enjoying the D-line we have right now. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Y'all let me know if you like this kind of video. I did the best I could. Just kind of talking through plays. I'm no guru. I'm no expert. And hopefully YouTube doesn't just cancel me after this one. But that was a lot of fun just going through the game with y'all. I'll do it again. Let me know.